Hi, this is Shubham Tiwari.
This is Paras.
And welcome to the Salespanel podcast, where we highlight the journeys and playbooks of thought leaders from the B2B world. Tune in for all the things on data-driven marketing, product-led growth, and customer intelligence. Our today's guest sits at the intersection of digital data and technology. He leads cross-functional teams to deliver digital solutions that increase revenue, improve customer experience, and drive alignment and growth. His areas of expertise lie in digital strategy, marketing infrastructure and technology, data and analysis, and people and processes. He's the co-founder of Shape&Scale. Pasha Irshad, welcome to Salespanel.
Hey, it's great to be here. Really happy to join you all today.
Please tell us more about Shape&Scale and the role you play in it.
Yeah, so Shape&Scale really is I would say it is the culmination of a 13-year journey in the agency world. I've been in marketing really since 2007, the Great Recession. And really around a year ago, myself and my partner, Suzanne Block, she sits on the PR side. We really just wanted to, go out on our own and, take everything that we've learned and try to provide maximum value to our customers. We also saw what we thought was, an outdated agency model, and that there is a point person that sells you on the product, on the business. That person goes away, and you either have junior people or you have, massive churn. And I think it was just time to spread our wings. It's very cliche, but I think we had, between the two of us, just gotten the experience and we're ready to take the next step.
Right. And one of the interesting phrases that you coin is, you say that you orchestrate growth for B2B and SaaS through good marketing. So what do you mean by good marketing?
Well, it's a funny question. I've probably changed my LinkedIn headline 15 times over the last 6 months, but for a while I had demand generation and that's all the rage. But let's be honest, Chris Walker coined that and his team really owns that, right? I think everybody's talking from the Refined Labs playbook and have a ton of respect for them. Know some of those folks, and they're really great people. But the reason I use good marketing is, at the end of the day, marketing is about creating affinity for your brand, right? And you do that through tried and true strategies and tactics that really haven't changed much in 60 years, right? Understanding who your customer is, understanding where they go to collect information, writing for them as opposed to yourself, right? No, we don't want to be feature driven. We want to be benefit driven. So really, with all the technology that's been layered on over, again, since I started in 2007, we've gone from 5,000 to close to 10,000 marketing technology and sales technology platforms. What has stood the test of time is getting back to basics, right? And that's just good marketing. So I thought I would go very simple and just do something that folks could understand.
Right. Thanks for providing us really detailed answer. So I was browsing through your LinkedIn profile, and one recent post caught my attention. This is about your disagreement on marketing attribution. I think you're not against measuring things, but against something which is not so possible to do accurately. And I think we all agree on the fact that you can't just look at the attribution metrics and you can't just say that this is the only reality. So just for our audience, what exactly it was, to quote you, number 1 point, align on the measurement framework focused on revenue. Ask why, what, and how when it comes to data collection, reporting, and measurement. Measure marketing success in the CRM. I think that's the highlight of this opinion, not in the Google Analytics, but in the CRM. Ask your customers where they found you and give qualitative data equal footing. So can you please enlighten us on this viewpoint? And it would be great if you can guide our audience through it.
Yeah, I mean, attribution is a very touchy topic, especially on LinkedIn and especially amongst marketers, right? I think I had a post last week about collecting qualitative information on a HubSpot form and, asking people to actually fill out radio buttons, and you'll get attacked, right? People, oh, you don't care about the customer and you don't understand UX, and it gets very dicey quickly. But look, I I see it both ways, right? I've always been in the agency world, and then in the agency world, much like the marketing world, if you're in-house, you have to be able to defend your position, right? And so that position is usually around driving results for the company.
Right.
When I started out, I obviously spent much more time in Google Analytics, and much more time in the platform, right? So when I built my last agency's advertising arm, and we scaled that from what, 0 to 2 million in three years with just me and some vendors. That's where I spent most of my time. I would look at what's going on in the platform, right? But then we would always need to juxtapose that with what's going on the website, because you don't have a full, complete picture until you see both of those. I would say as I became more skilled at HubSpot, and just where everything is moving today, I think there needs to be, let's say Google AdWords, for instance, right? I've audited, I don't know, in the last week, 3 accounts. And these are anywhere from Series A and Series B all the way to small to medium enterprise. And we see the same things, right? I talk to the client and they say, hey, yeah, we're driving leads. And then I look in Google Ads, and the conversions that are set up aren't even set up to track pure high intent, be it demo conversions, right? So there's already misalignment. So I say all that to say this: you've got to take a step back and at the company level ask, what's our North Star metric, and what is, if it's marketing and it's my client, what are we going to be measured on? If that's revenue, right? That's great. We measure that in the CRM, but then we have to reverse engineer, how do we get to revenue? Usually we're getting the revenue through a high intent conversion. Again, let's just say it's a demo form. And so we need to have some type of framework that guides that. One of Google's founders, and his name's escaping me right now, I think he coined the term, that measurement framework, and it's evolved over the years. But it's really just asking, what are the questions that are most important to my business? How are we going to measure those questions? And then based upon that, what are we going to do with those data points? Juliana Jackson, a friend of mine from CXL, just a couple months ago was talking about the QI framework, and that's the same thing, right? It's what questions are we going to answer? What informations do we need to answer it? And then what are we going to do once we have those answers, right? How do we manipulate that data? If you can base your measurement on that, I think you're going to go pretty far. The only other thing I would say is you look at like lagging and leading indicators, right? So like leading indicator might be website visits, I don't know, and contacts in the CRM, and then lagging is going to be revenue. The final thing that I'll say is you need to be able to give it time, right? I've worked on too many accounts on the agency side where we'd have a 6 to 9 to 12 month sales cycle, and I would go in and the CEO would be like, where are our results? And I would say, well, it's a 12-month sales cycle. We're not going to see the fruits of our labor in 6 months. It doesn't make sense. So when you look at all of that, and then you add on the qualitative piece, I think there's just, given as many touch points as there are in the customer journey, you need to have a modicum of reality baked in, right? That you're not going to be, not everything is attributable. I think you have to understand that when you see branded organic search going up, or you see branded clicks in your Google Ads campaign, then that's probably some work of marketing helping that, right? Especially if you're running paid programs. Again, that's kind of a Chris Walker and Refine Labs talking point, but we saw that before, right? And then really just the final piece is, there's this element of, and I took a digital transformation course, I think it was last year. One of the biggest things about digital transformation isn't the digital, right? It's the process and cultural alignment. You have to be on the same page with the people around you, not only in leadership, but working underneath leadership to be able to drive those results. And so if you don't have that alignment, it's not going to work.
Right.
Wonderful. Pasha, you're an experienced data-driven leader. So how do you see this, growing importance of first-party data?
I'm a huge proponent of first-party data. I'm doing a webinar with Verisium, I believe, Thursday. Look, I think first-party data is probably a big part of the future, just given everything that's in flux right now with privacy laws. privacy concerns. We'll see how, much further Google pushes back third-party cookies. But if you're able to operationalize your first-party data, you're gonna win, right? Like and again, I'll take a client example, 80,000 contacts in the CRM. We work together to isolate 4,000 to 5,000 that have taken a demo but haven't bought yet, right? We take that, we extract it, we append it through an identity graph, we push it back into digital platforms, and then we are able to market to those exact people with a match rate of 80 to 90%. That is a win, because these people we already know they have a high propensity to buy, but maybe they need a little bit more help. So while the sales team continues to nurture post demo, right, with whatever double tap, triple tap, whatever it may be, we're able to feed them advertising. Let's look at that again. If you're able to capture first party data, and sometimes first party data is used loosely, but let's just say you have a Zoom info account and you've got this data on your clients and you've got a cold outbound motion. You can also just feed that in, right, into the platforms, and then you're getting to them, and then you're helping your sales team. The final piece of it is, if most SaaS organizations don't really reach profitability until month 24, the point of impact comes after the sale, right? That comes when support takes over. And so what are you doing from support all the way on? Marketing, using marketing dollars to, again, take that first party data, stay top of mind, push out product updates, just do whatever you may be with that first party data is going to help. And then obviously just being able to segment that in a way. The bigger the database that I see in the CRM, usually the more opportunities to segment and get more nuance with your message. And that just, right, goes back to good marketing. So I think it's playing a huge role. It's why we're partnered with Verisium. There's other obviously tools out there in the market that do that. But for me, being able to, again, if we've got 1,000 high value customers, we upload it into LinkedIn and you hit a 50% match rate, well, you've just lost out on 50% of your total relevant market. And then when you think about leaders being in LinkedIn 1 to 3 times a week, that drops even more. If we can get 80 to 90% of that 1,000, it makes everything you're doing more valuable. And with so much pressure on marketers to achieve time to value, I understand time to value is more of a PLG metric, but you get where I'm going with that.
Right. So I think, pretty much all big players are sensing this opportunity, and I think the environment is also changing accordingly. We are seeing stricter data privacy laws. So I think let me come back to this thing and talk about GA4. Have you checked out the tool? Like, what is your initial review?
Yeah, I'm in GA. So I'm moving everyone over to GA4, right? I have another call today too, where I'm going to say, hey, it's time to sunset Universal Analytics, because when you look back in a year, you're not going to have any data in GA4, right? Like, you're not going to have conversion set up. You're not going to be able to have that historical lens, and it becomes a huge pain in the butt. So I've been working in it, I would say, I don't know, the last really 3 to 4 months pretty heavily. Here are my takeaways. One, I don't love the user interface in the menu. I think it's kind of hard to find things. I just did a post on just pulling up a Search Console report. Like, it's just not that intuitive. You got to go into the library, you got to add it. So that's a little bit different. Understanding data streams, I think. Well, let me take a step back because I don't want to jump around. From a menu and just UX perspective, if you're used to UA, it's going to be a little tough to get acclimated to GA4. That's my take on it. In terms of setting up conversion events, it's 1,000 times easier, right? A lot of the stuff you used to have to do in Google Tag Manager, you can now simply just do directly in GA4 and use the debug option to test it out. So I do like that, right? Like, being able to set a button click event, much easier. Being able to just set really any type of conversion, I think, has been made a lot easier. Path reports are difficult. So one of the things that I used to love about Universal Analytics is just being able to see customer journey, right? You could just go right on the left, toggle it, see everything you needed to see. Now, I think it's a lot more complex. That's actually my next focal point, is just being able to get better at building it out. I just want to see conversion paths, right? And And, so that I think for me has been a little bit challenging. I really like building out audiences in it. And again, this goes back to the attribution thing, right? Like it's great to measure everything in the CRM, but as somebody like myself who does not only CRM dependent work, but also all types of paid work with a good amount of Google Ads, being able to build your audiences in GA4 and then import those into Google AdWords, I think is just, or Google Ads is just a lot easier. It's really easy just to come up with like, a high intent, non-converting audience, so on and so forth. When it comes to like the admin section, I really do like the idea of data streams. I think subdomain like tracking is like a lot easier. Setting up cross-domain tracking is a lot easier. I think as a whole, I think after another 6 months, I'll feel completely, good with it. I would say that it's more of an e-commerce tool, right? Like there's so much cool stuff that you can do from an e-com perspective. Obviously, I don't, I've dabbled in e-com. I had a consultancy I still have a consultancy, so was able to do some fun stuff there. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it takes a little bit of adjustment. But if you haven't moved over, and I'm telling you, I'm seeing this again, let's just take 7 clients, mostly everybody's just still sitting in universal analytics, and it's time to move over. Even though they might have the instance set up, it's just not set up to collect data.
Right. So now speaking of revenue retention, what would you say to the marketers who are looking to use data in this ongoing tech downturn which we're going through? How can they do revenue retention much better?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at revenue retention, you have to look at your journey and see where the leakage comes from, right? And that's where you need to have a data model. If your data model doesn't really speak to like the different steps, and again, I'm a winning by design fan, so I talk more about the bow tie model, right? And if you look at point of impact in that, it happens post-purchase, right? So what are you doing with data that is, again, if it's a PLG motion, what's going on in there? What's going on with customer support, right? Is that customer support data getting to marketing and sales? Do we have prompts to start, running advertising campaigns or marketing campaigns to people that we need to just reduce churn, right? And get them to re-up, for lack of a better word, with what we're doing subscription-wise. And that also just, goes back to the data, getting back to sales and marketing and product, because we need to understand if people are churning out. Again, a lot of this just depends, and I should have prefaced this, it depends where you are in your maturity, right? If you're Series A and you're still trying to find product market fit, it's a lot different than if you're, SME or, Series D and you have product market fit and you have go-to-market fit and now it's scaling, right? So I think really when it comes to data, it's a few things. One, I'm obviously a HubSpot partner. I think what HubSpot does such a good job of is offering you a platform for all customer-facing departments, so that data isn't lost in the sauce, right? And it's able to be accessed by everybody on the team that needs to access it. And you can set up workflows, triggers. I mean, it just makes things really easy to pass that data on, right? And that could be any data. If you have marketing enterprise, that means you can create a custom event that says, hey, if Jane or Jim is in our app and they do X and they've, been a customer for, I don't know, a year, send a note to the sales team to reach out to them proactively, right? Like look for cross-sell and upsell opportunities. I mean, I think when it comes to, revenue retention, there's post-sale, and then obviously it's post-sale, right? It's about retaining that revenue. If you're trying to increase that revenue, well, that is going to require more than just, that's going to require more than data. That's going to require like the ability to create demand for the product. But remember, creating demand is really, to me, your total relevant market. Then there's also your total addressable market, and that's more where the brand comes in, right? Like you're trying to market to people that might be your customer down the road, and that might require a shift in product, right? Like perhaps you've got I mean, look at your product, right? I'm sure you have a product roadmap that speaks to maybe like I don't know, a director of demand gen today, but like maybe you're going to add something that makes it relevant for a VP of sales tomorrow, right? And so you should probably start talking to the VP of sales about the problem you might be solving today. Obviously, that requires bigger budget and kind of a shift in philosophy, but I would just say it depends on the stage of your organization, the maturity, your product roadmap, and where you want to go.
Great. A question about sales and marketing alignment and the importance of data. So what do you mean by multidisciplinary roles combining marketing and sales function are the future, if we say so?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
So, through dark social, I'm lucky to be in some really cool WhatsApp groups and just people I've met, right? I've obviously spent a lot of time trying to build my network over the last 6 months. I've met so many salespeople that know so much about marketing, right? SDRs, AEs, even directors of sales, and they know a lot more about marketing than I think marketers know about sales, right? So like from a marketer standpoint, like understanding like what's cold outbound, right? Like how do we run that play? What do we need to know about that? Like what are some sales methodologies, right? Like what are, how do we scale a sales team, right? Like what does a sales team look like at, again, Series A, right after founder led, up until we get to, maybe Series D? There needs to be an understanding, I think, more on the marketing side of how a modern sales team kind of goes to market. So without understanding that, I don't think you can properly devise a go-to-market plan, right, and be in harmony. And I would say that probably goes for some sales folks too, so I don't want to put it all on marketing. But just in my opinion, the smartest marketers and sales folks I know are multidisciplinary, right? Like the sales team can use HubSpot, like marketing team might understand, again, what Outreach.io is, what it does. It's like understanding the tools and the science behind it, but then also understanding creativity. I'm obviously a business owner, so I now need to run discovery calls. I'm obviously a HubSpot partner. I run demo calls. Like what goes into that from a creative standpoint to figure out what your prospect's pain is and what is, how do you alleviate that pain, right? So the final piece there is there's been a ton of talk just about a sales development representative. Like, do they make more sense on the marketing team, right? Do they really need to be on the sales team? When you think a lot about what marketing has become, and again, this is, something that's already been out there, this isn't new, but a lot of what marketing became was just like an extension of the sales team, and that we were just acquiring email addresses, right? Like when I would go to Tech Target or Inbox Insights, and two really good organizations, and I do content syndication and I get an email address, what's the difference between that and just going to Zoom Info, right? Or going to Seamless AI? Sorry, somebody is calling me. Like to me, there's no difference there. And so within that, I think as we move forward, the most agile and smartest organizations will have sales and marketing teams that respect the discipline of each other's discipline, understand the tools that really help them excel at their job, and understand the creativity that goes into creating the top salesperson or creating the top marketer.
Right. So what future advancements you are excited about? I asked this question to you because you have a broader view of the industry.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a couple of things, right? I think is HubSpot. I'm excited about HubSpot. I'm completely bought in, right? Again, partner for 6 years. I'm one instance away from being a gold partner. I think they are going to continue to push the envelope, especially into their operations hub, right? Like I think at some point you're going to see that operations hub become more and more powerful and start to compete with, I don't know, think like customer data platforms. So very excited about that. I am excited about I'm actually excited about privacy regulations forcing more of a level playing field when it comes to data and the way that people market. I think going back to qualitative, I think going back to contextual, I think all these things are actually going to help alleviate the pain points for marketers, because I kind of came up in the wild west of data, right? And I came up in just the overabundance of attribution. And so I think those two things stripped out a lot of the creativity out of marketing. And now I think we're moving away from that. So I'm excited to see where that lends, what lends itself. And then I would say the final thing that I'm excited about is, it comes to the workplace, right? Like post-pandemic, I would say two things in the world that just haven't changed since, agricultural times is education and work, right? Like, hey, we all work 9 to 5 and we all work in an office, and that's just the way it is. Now, things have completely changed. My colleagues aren't the people that I'm in the office with, right? My colleagues are in India, they're in Australia, they're literally all over the globe, and I can access these smartest people if my network is big, and those are really my colleagues, especially being at a self-starting consultancy. Being able to have that not only viewpoint from different areas and different cultures is amazing, but again, just having access to the best and brightest. And I would also say that opens up so many more doors for people across the world, right? And I think we talk a lot about in America, if I don't know, let's say I go to Boise, Idaho, should I be getting paid, by Facebook or Meta, like, what it costs to live in Boise? But I would also say, let's look at that. Like, if somebody in India is doing an amazing job by American companies, I think it's time that they get their fair share of the pie, right? Like, it's not fair. And so I really hope to see just an evening and a more balanced playing field based on distributed teams, based upon the value that people in other countries bring. And then just, I think there's an opportunity for everyone to really expand their network. And the office of, in 5 years to me, it's global, and it's not just the people that you work with.
Wonderful. Speaking of work culture, workplaces, and people and processes, you are an authentic relationship builder with a demonstrated record of developing and retaining top-level accounts while developing best-in-class partnership. And of course, LinkedIn, you're everywhere. So would you share your prospecting and retention playbook, probably some of the tips from for the dark social media that you're doing on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of dark social, it's just, your word is your bond, so to speak, right? Like following through on anything that you say you're going to do. And look, I probably got a 85% following through record. Sometimes things are going to fall through the cracks just being busy, but building authentic relationships is important in that you need to go into those relationships not expecting anything, right? Like, I think if you go into those not expecting anything, leading with value, trying to just be as helpful as possible and just being authentic, which is hard for some people, you're going to come away with a pretty big network. And I think you're also going to come away with clients, right? Like, I think the more that you are out there, the more that you're kind of staying to a smaller niche, which has been hard for me because I work across so many different things, but I've tried to tailor that to HubSpot. And so I talk about HubSpot a lot in dark social channels. Like, if there's a HubSpot question, I'm active on it. And again, I could do a better job, but if you do that and then you just follow through, like you take the call that you said you're going to do, you send the materials you said you were going to send, just these little gestures to just little gestures, call them belonging cues, whatever they may be, will allow you to prosper pretty quickly.
Wonderful. Couple of questions as we come to the completion of this interview. So what books or reference materials do you go back to from time to time?
There's a lot. Right now I'm reading the book called, do I have it here? I don't, but it's called, it's about the jobs to be done methodology. So I'm trying to it's, it's an actual practice, right? So it's like taking notes with a book, but yeah, just getting more versed in jobs to be done. I think that has so many applications in today's, marketplace and in marketing, right? Like understanding that it's not about customer doesn't want a 3-inch drill, they want a 3-inch hole, right? Like what is the outcome that they're looking for and how do you associate that? So obviously jobs to be done. Al Rice and Jack Trout, Immutable Laws of Branding, Marketing. They've got a good amount of books there. I'm a huge Winning by Design fan. Dutch gentleman, I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm not going to say it here, but anybody can look at their open source methodology and it's all about the science behind, scaling SaaS. And yeah, I would even say revenue operations is really the science of predictable revenue. So anything by them, I'm all about and read all the time because I just think that's, the technology that I offer is just a tool, right? But a tool is only as good as the person wielding it. And so, just getting smart on that. Obviously, just being on LinkedIn daily, ton of smart people. Those are pretty much like kind of where I get most of my information. I'm obviously reading a lot, but I'm just trying to think if there are any other books. Actually, I'm going to pull. This is also a good one. Go-to-market strategy. Okay. Yeah, so good one that I'm reading. Sangram, he started ABM, I think Terminus. Yeah. So he just came out. It's all about just kind of the, he has his own like framework for going to market. And I mean, that's really where I'm most interested in, right? Like go-to-market strategies, sales marketing methodologies, which is Winning by Design. And then, going back to some of the basics, like I said, I think it's Al Reese and Jack Trout, just some of the early stuff. It's somewhat dated, but you'll still find some nuggets.
Yeah, we love them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we at Salespanel, we also love, it's a book about JTPD, When Coffee and Kale Compete, if you have heard about it.
Oh, no, but I'll look it up.
Yeah. So when coffee and kale compete.com, you can find the link to download the free PDF, and it's also on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Amazing guy, amazing book. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I will get this now. Huh.
Cool.
Interesting. Also jobs to be done. Holy shit. Okay. Sorry to interrupt, but
no worries, because our audience is getting so many book recommendations. So more the merrier. So Pasha, would you like to nominate anyone for our show?
Yeah, I think I have a friend, Drew Brucker, who's he's VP of growth at Lasso. They're a SaaS organization for event management, and he's doing some really good work there. So I'd probably nominate him.
Wonderful. Pasha Irshad, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it's great to be on.
I'm sure our audience has so many things to take from this interview. Please let us know what you thought of this interview. Thanks for sticking with us. I'll see you in the next episode. And Pasha, please take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.